But how has your week been? How's Brody?
He's good. He's good. I think he's doing a really, really fantastic job with sit and just like yes in general.
Good.
We've probably been concentrating a little more on that one than we have on the leave it.
Okay.
But he's also doing leave it really well. I'd say that one's probably we need to concentrate on and could improve that one. Like he's very good. So I'd say with eye contact today, even I did some practice with him and he was like looking at me instead of like everywhere else. So that was good. I think we're struggling probably
week after week
with like kind of similar stuff. Like the biting is still around. The couple things I want to chat with you about are like walks and like when we should kind of start being different on our walks maybe, because he does pull a little and he likes to jump a lot.
Okay.
And I'd say the jumping is probably like a theme throughout like walks and just normal life.
Jumping like
jumping on us.
Okay, so like you're walking on the sidewalk or whatever, and he's jumping on you.
Yep.
Randomly, kind of throughout the walk.
Throughout the walk. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he'll like lose interest in that, and we'll kind of be like no, and generally it's like him losing interest in smelling something or whatever, and we just look like crazy people walking with a dog that keeps jumping on us. So that's that. But I would say was in his crate for a really, really long time yesterday, like 2 4-hour stints pretty much, and no accidents. So he was really good. And then he repaid us yesterday by waking up at 3 a.m.
Oh no. It's like you just can't ever win, right?
I know. Like one step forward, 2 steps back.
Oh man, but that's big, right? Because that's probably the longest day he's had with the
That is the longest day. Yep.
For sure.
And I thought for sure he would come back. We'd come back and he'd have a little accident and he was good. So
okay, good. So that kind of simulates a work week, assuming you would have like a dog walker coming or something.
For sure. So and we actually have signed up to do the boarding and daycare at Canine Perspective. So that'll be good.
Oh, I forgot we had talked about that. Your vet versus yes. Because you guys are going out away for a weekend or something, right?
Yep. So it'd be like a drop off on Thursday, pick up on drop off on Friday, pick up on Monday situation. So
not long at all. Yeah, that would be like a good first experience for him. That's a good amount of time for a first time.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And they said since we're training too, he doesn't have to do like the evaluation period, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly. And with the puppies, we kind of do it differently. Yeah, but he should be good to go. Usually their first day, they'll be stressed. So like, don't be surprised if you get, a note saying like he didn't eat or like, whatever. That's normal, even for adult dogs, even more so with adult dogs.
Okay.
So it's good that he's going to have a couple consecutive nights to work through that stress, because a lot of people think, oh, I'll just do like one day at a time, but then the dog needs multiple visits to like get over that bump. So that would be good for him.
Okay, good. That's good to know. And he had his first grooming appointment because we took our engagement photos yesterday. So that's part of the reason why we were. Thank you. While we were gone so long. And so we wanted to incorporate him in some of our photos. And so we took him on Sunday for his first appointment. So like kind of getting him used to that experience and like having to behave.
What did the guy tell you?
Quite a stressful experience. And the guy was like, well, Brody learned a lot today. He was very rambunctious. And I was like, I'm so sorry. This is his first experience. So we got that out of the way.
Did they give you kind of like the lowdown of doodle grooming?
Not really. They did like the initial puppy sort of like package to where they're kind of introduced to a little bit of everything that they will get kind of moving forward in life. So they didn't give us any other specifics though.
Okay, yeah. I always tell people who get doodles or like that type of coat dog, like a poodle, a Portuguese water dog, whatever, is find a groomer you like and build a good relationship with them, because those dogs need professional grooming like every 4 to 6 weeks, like as you probably know.
For sure.
And if you're not like, some people don't like combing their dogs, so then they need it like every 2 weeks. But once you get in the habit of combing, it's not a big deal. But yeah, find someone you like. And then my biggest tip is groomers in Chicago book up way more quickly than you think. So when you pick him up, just book your next one, because I've had times where it's like I call and they're like, we don't have appointments for like another 3 weeks. And I'm like, shit.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. So especially during the holidays, if you're having people over for Thanksgiving, literally book it like 2 months in advance. I'm not kidding.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So you can always cancel it, but you can't always get the slot. So that's kind of my tip for new dog owners.
Do you have anybody around here that you like?
Yes. So the grooming gallery on Damon, it's over by the Dollop in Ukrainian Village. They're excellent.
That's right by us.
That is right by us. Yep.
Oh yeah, they're so good. I send a lot of friends and clients there. The dogs just always come out looking really great, and they like take great care of them. It's not overwhelming.
Perfect.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Right where that
Done.
is.
That's easy.
Yeah, they're great. Always busy, but good. Okay, awesome. So he did well with his longer day in the crate, but then he woke up at 3 a.m. Do you think it's just because he hadn't had much activity that day?
So I actually think it was probably a little bit of that, but also he was really thirsty. And so I think because we came home around probably like 7-ish and 7:30 or so, gave him a ton of food, normal food, normal water at that time. And, kind of then eased him into the night. And I even let him have water a little longer than normal, just because we had been home a little later. But I think he just probably didn't get his like normal water that he's been used to, and woke up and he was just really, really thirsty. So okay,
well, now you know.
Being a little spaz. That's why Sarah keeps getting up.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries. I know how that goes. Okay, so otherwise, the other two big things were just potty training in general, crate behavior in general, and then sleeping in the morning. How are those three going?
Okay, come here.
Being a crazy goof at the moment. I would say potty training, still about the same. We could probably be doing better on that front, him and us. The general crate training, he seems like very anxious about it, and we've started playing like some crate games and getting him going on that. And like I do think it's building in the right direction, but he still doesn't like it. He does not like being in his little crate, in his little house. Do you?
What, like, when you're saying he's anxious, describe what you're seeing to me that makes you think that.
He will never go in his crate like unguided. Unless we're playing a crate game. Like at night, we kind of like will lead him with the collar, and he'll go in. At a certain point, he will go in himself. But it's like we had to lead him to it. And if we leave during the day, or if I put him in while I'm home, like he's kind of like, I know what you're doing, guys, and I don't want to go in there.
He's very apprehensive.
Yeah. So how did you introduce the crate to him originally?
Not well.
Yeah.
I love your honesty.
Yeah. His first 2 nights, we had him in the crate out in our living room. And so we got him home like at night, and like had time with him in the car. Oh my gosh. Had time with him in the car. And like, that's about it. So it was traumatic for sure for him. And we like did it all wrong.
We were kind of like, let's rip off the Band-Aid and like, he can be there alone and da-da-da-da. And like, I don't think in hindsight, like that was probably not the right way, because later he adapted, I think, better for the evenings with someone in the room, and we moved it like into a guest room, and like I stayed in bed next to him and, you know, did the whole thing with the hand. And like now at night, he's fine. Like he doesn't like going in there, but like he goes in, he doesn't really cry, he doesn't really bark.
No.
It's that wake up situation and kind of like the going in during the day that he's not crazy about.
Yep, totally. So a couple things is you did do the right approach. Is like most often it is suggested to kind of just like rip off the Band-Aid. If you baby them too much, it can have reverse effects. It kind of depends on the personality of the dog, right? So I always tell people like the first night, just give it a go, cold turkey.
Oh, well then, cool.
How it goes. Because a lot of times breeders, when you get your dog from a breeder, good breeders, or like most breeders these days, do crate assimilation work before they go home.
Yeah.
So it's usually like puppies that are coming out of like shelters or puppy mills, like pet stores, have the biggest issues.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I would say like I would have taken the same approach. I think where our approaches would have differed is introducing the crate is sometimes it's really short periods of time they're in there, like a minute, and then sometimes it's an hour or 2 hours, and you kind of just keep them guessing. And so it's not every time you go in there, you're in there, we're gone, and it's a long period of time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I would say he's like the period of time, I would say I typically, like, even when I'm home for work and stuff, like sometimes I will leave him in even just for like half hour or an hour. So like there are shorter periods. He can hear me. He knows I haven't left. Like, so that's good to hear. That's something like maybe even bringing it down to even shorter.
Yes. And like, because there's two of you, it's different. So like when I raised my puppy and I was single and I was living alone, like he would go in the crate when I was using the restroom, taking a shower, or like, you know, so we had those intermittent of like just a minute while I'm using the restroom and then 15 minutes while I just took a shower. But when there are two of you, you're more apt to just like, well, I'll watch the puppy while you go to the bathroom, like, you know?
Yeah.
So there's like some of that people forget about, but just totally fine. It's not too late for that. So just like keep him guessing, make him try and get him out of the frame of mind of every time I go on the crate, it's going to be for a long time.
Okay. That's good to know.
That's good.
Yeah.
And the crate games will definitely help. And, you know, like, this sounds like so like, gosh, like Buddhist, but like, with like state of mind when you're handling your dog matters. So if you're bringing him to the crate and you're like, I know, buddy, it's okay, we're just leaving for an hour, I feel so badly in your head, like that runs right down the leash or right down your arm to his collar to him, right? So when you're putting him in the crate, even if you know in your head this is going to be a long one, it's going to be 4 hours, come on, let's go in the crate, come on, okay, bye.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just make it a non-event. Like make it exciting to get there and go in, and then it's just a non-event.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've really practiced that too. Like, I think more so when we take him out, we're really mindful of that, just because putting him in is a completely different experience with like trying to actually put him in physically. But I think when we go to get him out, it's just kind of like we open the door, we very like slowly, you know, do that. And then he typically will, you know, go out to pee and just kind of like, all right, we're going to continue on with our day.
Right, exactly. So try not to create too much emotion out of that. Even like, don't let yourself think those thoughts, because it will change the way you interact with him.
Yeah.
So like try not to feel guilty or like worried or anxious or nervous when you're putting him in the crate. Save that till the door is closed and you're gone. Because that definitely makes a difference. And if you feel like there's a lot of buildup in him where it's like he knows he's going to the crate and he's getting more resistance.
Yeah.
The way that you can bypass that, two ways: either use a really, really yummy treat lure and bring the lure out before you even start motion to the crate. So just start getting him treats, and then once he's engaged with the treats with the lure, start luring him toward the crate. People make the mistake of, let's go in the guest room and then I'm going to bring out the treats and try and lure you in, but he's already past threshold of not wanting to go into the crate. That's like the nice, friendly way to do it. The other way you do it is you just clip a leash on him and you just neutrally walk him over to the crate and use leash pressure to put him in. And then once he's in, close the door and drop treats through the crate once the door is closed. So the door is closed and then the reward appears.
Okay.
All right.
Because we had talked about before that, like, he will have a full calm. He will have his like he's got like this little cheese thing from Whole Foods that he likes. And like, he won't touch those in the crate. He will not, like, he will let it just,
even if they're thawed.
Yeah, so that can definitely be stress. Like I was talking about, like he may not eat his first day or two boarding. That's stress, right? Like his stress is overriding his appetite. Just like think like the hierarchy of needs, right? So definitely a sign that he's stressed, but you're not like in the red zone. Like unhealthy, worrisome, anxious, stressful behavior would be like vocalizations that don't stop, throwing up, force pooping, chronic licking, hurting his paw pads trying to get out. As long as you're not in that red zone, you're okay. So keep going with the crate games, practice that neutrality around the crate, keep exposing it to him in different lengths of time, and he should get over that hump. But definitely let me know if you see anxiety going up instead of going down.
Okay. Yeah, we can see it. Like it's almost like he knows, like, you know, he'll be lying on the bathroom floor or something, and then we're like, all right, Brody, let's go, you know, and at those times, for some reason, it's like he knows, and he's just like, nope, I'm not getting up.
So because dogs don't understand language, they read our body language wicked well. They are masters of picking up on patterns. So you probably do things before you leave the house that you don't even realize that you do, that he does, right? Whether it's just things of like changing the angles of the blinds, or like getting your keys, or turning off the kitchen lights that are always on normally throughout the day. Those are the things that they pick up that we don't think twice about. So those can be his triggers to start being, Mom and Dad are leaving. I don't want to go in the crate. Oh God, I'm going in the crate. So what can be helpful is put him away before you start your routine of leaving the house.
Oh, good tip.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Very good tip.
Because that is actually what triggers a lot of dogs' separation anxiety, is they get themselves really worked up, and it's based on triggers. So they condition themselves to become anxious, right? So I always tell people, like, dogs don't understand English. So when you put him in his crate, you don't need to tell him goodbye. You don't need to tell him you're going to be back. You don't need to tell him how long you're going to be gone, right? All that does is make him anxious.
Yeah. It's totally like a selfish thing that humans do that, you know?
I know. And it's like
for ourselves.
It's so hard because it's like, you know, they understand communication. So it's like you want to talk to them, but then it's like you have to take a few steps back.
For sure.
So I get
that's good to know. Yeah. Okay. So like probably 15 minutes before we leave. So obviously within that time frame, you're going to be running around doing the things that you need to do to leave. If we just have them in the crate for that whole process, then that'll make a difference.
Yeah, that should make a difference. And then how is he doing sleeping in? Any better?
No.
Of course not.
I would say that's probably like that and the jumping. And like kind of like jumping / fighting are probably like the two things I would want to change the most.
Okay.
But
sleeping is probably, I've kind of come to terms with the fact that it's probably just, normal puppy stuff.
His MO for the past couple of weeks has just kind of been like
the 4:30.
A 4:30 wake up, and then we'll take him out and he does have to go. So I do always feel like it's good to do it, but maybe not now anymore. I don't know. I'd be curious to get your advice.
Have you tried just leaving him?
We have, and then he does have an accident.
Okay, so last time we had talked, he had one. Has he had more since?
Well, we probably haven't been very diligent in keeping him in longer.
Okay.
So maybe we need to start that back up a little bit. Is that what you would?
I would suggest that. And I know we had resized his crate as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm most curious about. Will that play a role, especially if he does have an accident, having to sit with it in close proximity, where prior he was probably just chilling at the other end?
Yeah.
So those two things are big variables for change.
Yep. And so since the resizing, I think he's had like at least 2 accidents that I can remember in his crate.
Okay.
One of which he was really just like all soaking wet. Just kind of like got it all over himself. So that was fun.
That's the burner coming out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's never pooped in it. So
Okay, good.
Knock on wood.
Good. Yeah, it gets tricky because once they start having accidents in their crate, they are going to start desensitizing themselves to that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this delicate balance of making sure you're sticking to his crate training schedule appropriate to his age. So at this time, probably like 3 hours now, even though I know he's pretty good. And so like maybe you could test 4. But we really want to try to push him out in the morning. And so like the resizing and the peeing and him having to be near it should have been an aversive for him, but we'll see. Because so when did he, like, what was the context of him peeing in his crate the past 2 weeks?
So one of them I distinctly remember, I had to go somewhere during the middle of the day, and so I put him in there. I let him out to go potty. He went potty outside, brought him back in. He did have a fair amount of water. Before, okay. I remember he did drink a fair amount of water, put him back in, but I was like, oh, I'm only going to be gone like an hour and a half. Oh, an hour. I was gone for like an hour and a half, probably. I went on a run. That's what it was. And I came back and he had gone potty, and it was pretty gross.
And just splattering because there's nothing in the crate. So
right.
Yeah. I had seen the funny thing. Have you met the Bernedoodle Biggie yet?
Yes.
Yeah. I think his parents are Susan and Frank.
Yes, I'm so bad with names, which I think I told you that.
So that's how we know K-9 perspective is, because I would always run into Susan with Brody, and then like we kind of ended up chatting. I ran into her on my run, and so we were like, so that's why I came back a little later than I thought.
Okay, well, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun that you guys have like made friends through your dogs. That's like one of the best parts of having a dog, honestly. But
he wasn't like, he was alone for like, he could have held that, like he's drank that same amount of water and been out at my feet for 3 or 4 hours,
For sure.
and like
It's the anxieties. He doesn't settle, and then
exactly. If he's not settling, so him in a resting state at your feet, it's like the same thing as when we go to sleep, your metabolism slows down and you don't really notice it while you're sleeping. Then when you wake up, you're like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But if he's in his crate and he's like fully conscious and like on edge the entire time, his metabolism is going faster and he's going to be like hyper aware because he's very awake and conscious.
Yep.
So that could definitely be it. So just be sure the next time if you go out on a run, if you come home and you had seen that he had an accident, be sure to leave him in there until like his next scheduled outing would have been. I know it's really tempting to like take him out and clean him up.
Yeah.
But just leave him in there because he could have just peed like a minute before you walk through the door, and then like you really just don't know. And then he just thought, oh, I peed and dad came home. Like, how this works. So just be mindful of that. Of dogs sometimes pick up on the wrong patterns too.
Okay.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
The other thing you could try with the crate is during the day, I know you have a big one, but during the day, putting it in your living space. So it's just part of his normal daily life. And it's not this thing that's in the guest room and he only sees it when he's going in.
Okay.
A lot of times you'll find when you have the crate out in your living space, and let's say like it's during the day, right? So you're watching him and you could have his bed in there. If he's not allowed on the couch and his bed is only in his crate, dogs will often choose to just chill in their crates because that's where it's comfortable for them.
Yeah.
So that helps too. Just like leaving the door open all the time and just letting him come and go on his own accord.
Okay. That's a good tip.
Yeah. Okay. So then the jumping.
Could we do like, question on that? Could we do like 2 crates, like or is that not recommended?
Yeah. If you wanted 2 crates in your home, I'm that person where I'm like, I just hate looking at it. It ruins my decor. But if you have space for it and you don't mind, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I don't really like looking at it, but I don't really want to have to like move the crate every day in and out.
You could get a smaller one for now, just like a 36-inch crate.
Okay.
If you wanted to have that size in your living room, I think that would be plenty big for him how he is now.
Yeah.
And even if you just go on Facebook Marketplace, there are a ton of dog crates. You could snag one for like $15.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay. So then before we get into the jumping, I just wanted to let you guys know I used to have the same plant behind you. It's toxic for dogs. I learned the hard way. I like $1,000 vet bill later to get my dog's stomach pumped. So just be mindful of that plant. I had no idea.
Birds of paradise?
Yeah. So this actually just happened this past Christmas. I had that plant since the day my puppy came home, and he had never shown interest in any plant. I left him and it turned out he had a really bad stomach ache. He had an episode of acid reflux, which I wasn't even aware was a thing for him. And I guess when they have stomach aches, they like eat vegetation, you know? So he ate the plant in my house and it was that one, and it's poison. No. So just be mindful if he's showing any interest. If he, when he gets to his true teenage time, and like he may be like playing in the dirt or something, you can put sprinkle cayenne pepper on the top of the dirt, and that will nip it real fast.
Good to know, cayenne pepper.
Oh my gosh, but I'm worried about the leaves.
So like my dog ate the leaves and the stems, and it was not good. Even though he had his stomach pumped, it was like 2 or 3 weeks of bad stuff after that.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for that. Because we bought this obviously pre-dog, and you can like obviously research them, but we weren't researching anything about pet friendliness.
No, and like it won't kill them, but what it does is it causes like massive internal inflammation. So like he was puking and having explosive diarrhea for nearly a month because it just causes like systemic irritation, and his eyes were just flooding goop. Like, yes. So just throwing it out there, but I hated having to get rid of that plant because I was like, I love this plant so much.
Oh my God.
So, like, you're sure it's this plant, yeah?
It's exactly that. And it was so tall. Oh my gosh. Because my last place, when I got that plant, I had skylights and stuff. So it was like growing into the skylights and so pretty. And but just be mindful. If he takes a little nibble, don't worry. He's not going to die. It's only if he eats like, so it would be like when you're done using the crate and he's out home alone, just be mindful of his tendencies.
Okay.
But yeah, he won't die. It will just be a lot of floor cleanup if he gets into it.
Thank you for that.
Of course.
Oh my God.
So jumping, transition away from that morbid topic. Jumping. So it sounds like it's normal puppy stuff, right? And like outside, it's probably fueled just by two things, like either overstimulation or frustration for being on the leash. Do either of those ring true with you of which one it could be?
I think probably overstimulation.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Because he'll be like, I mean, obviously we will be doing further training to like get him walking really tight next to us, you know, on one side and kind of being good about that. But I think what he does is, you know, he'll be leading us on the leash and he's starting to be able to pull pretty substantially. It's 40 pounds now. So, and then, you know, he'll kind of like weave for a second or like just be over here and then all of a sudden just like jump up. And I think he just like gets overstimulated and overexcited.
Yep. Yeah. So typical puppy stuff. There are two ways you can approach this. One, they're both good. I would usually use them in conjunction with each other, but I'll tell you what the options are and you can tell me what you want to do. So the first is you can use food to start to condition more focus and engagement on leash. So what that looks like is you'd be taking him out, and every time he offers you eye contact, even if it's just a millisecond, you mark that with yes and reward him. And this is like really good to do at meal times because you're going to be giving out a lot of rewards. So for like the first week, every time he looks at you, yes, food. And what he's going to start to do is start to just walk and offer you eye contact and be more engaged with you. And this is, by the way, the foundation for building good leash skills. But this is going to be a way to help him focus and not get so overstimulated by his environment because he's going to be focused on you. So there's that way, which if you want to start doing that because he's getting bigger anyways, definitely, you know, it's something that we would probably be talking about next week, but you can start incorporating that. The other thing is you can use a tool. So I recommend for puppies under 6 months to walk on a gentle leader head collar. Have you seen Biggie on his?
We sadly we don't see Biggie very often because of no breathing on the leash.
Yes, I know, right? And he should be following those rules too. So
yes, he would. We're not running Biggie out.
I know. Yes.
Texting with Biggie's mom, and we were like, "Sorry, we haven't seen you guys in a while. We're trying to be good." And she was like, "I never heard of this rule." So.
Oh yes, they should have. So okay, so the gentle needle, Kyle, you were right. It's the head collar it works the same as a horse's bridle. So where the head goes, the body must follow. The reason why I was kind of like debating about whether I wanted to take this route is because I only recommend head collars for puppies 6 months and under, because 6 months is kind of that period where they start to become a lot more confident, their ego grows and they become more unpredictable. And what that means is you don't want an unpredictable dog on a head collar, because if he were to lunge, you don't want his head to whip back, right? So that's why like 6 months is when I transfer to like prong collar, e-collar, or other methods. So if he's already being kind of like unpredictable on leash, this will definitely help, but you just need to be more mindful than you would with like an 8-week-old puppy.
Yeah.
So those head collars, you can buy them on Amazon. You can buy them at any pet store. I'll send you guys the link of the one I like. They are great because he can still drink water, play ball, eat, all of that with it on. It just allows you to keep him in check without having to use much pressure.
Yeah.
Because basically, as long as your leash length is appropriate, as in you're not giving him the slack to cause a bunch of shenanigans, he'll be walking and heel with you. Because if you're keeping your leash with just a tiny bit of slack and he doesn't have the slack to pull forward, he's not going to be able to, because he doesn't have, harnesses empower the pulling, collars just like choke them out, right? So it gives you more immediate control. Introducing it is pretty easy. I used to be like super soft and, condition it over a week with like food and all of that. But now I just put it on the puppy and I just start walking. And I find that they get used to it much quickly with just learning how to walk with it. Okay. The first couple blocks may look a little sketchy, he's going to try and be like rubbing his face or whatever. But once you get them going, start giving him food once he's up and going, and keep the first walk short, and you'll see a really fast acceptance. Like my other puppy client, it was like 2 days and he was walking like a pro, and he's a 45-pound lab puppy.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're great tools. They're the tools that service dogs and guide dog puppies are raised on. Really effective as long as they're being used correctly.
Okay. So we'll have to be really careful with kind of how we're tugging. Like if we want to keep him close, but if for whatever reason, like going potty or what have you, to where we're not like right next to him, do we need to be pretty careful with like how we pull him?
Yes. So it's called a gentle leader for exactly that.
Yeah.
Gently. And yes, so it's just really light pressure, right? So like if you were letting him potty, you could just let him have all of the slack and then just be mindful, kind of just walk with him, or just switch it to his collar, just switch his leash to his collar. And then when you have him walking, just don't give him enough slack to cause issues for himself. So with jumping, if he's jumping up, you'll bring the leash down, because the leash clips below. So you'll have the leash down, and then like with the jumping, you just want to be mindful of, again, the slack. So you don't want to have the leash below him with 2 feet for him to jump up and catch himself.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a combination of methods of, if he's getting overstimulated and jumpy, you would get him back in control by lowering the leash. And then depending on the type of mood he's in, you could just keep walking. Or you could just do like the learn to earn, like wait for him to sit and calm and then bring in a reward.
So like, I will say I have a couple times, because he's been so good with the sit so far, and we're not really saying the word yet.
Yeah.
We're just doing the hand out and above him. But he really took to that. I've done it, a couple times on walks with him, and when I do it, he sits immediately. He's very good.
Good.
And then for the next, probably like minute or two, he does exactly what you described and keeps the eye contact going with me, because he thinks there's going to be more food coming. Yep. So I think maybe like that could be the more
motivator.
like the strategy that maybe we go with first. I don't know.
Because he's like what, like 4.5 months now. Yeah, so you're like almost to that 6 months mark where you are going to start doing big boy training. So if you want to see how he reacts to just building engagement on the leash, totally like go for that. And then just be mindful, like consistency that first couple of weeks is going to be really important. So just make sure you're paying him, you know, with food every time he's offering that. And then you can start to randomize it to keep him guessing. That's actually what builds drive, is that randomization of the reward.
Okay.
So you want continuous, reliable rewards when you're teaching or conditioning something. And then once you know he knows what you're looking for, that's when you randomize it to build the drive to perform.
Okay. So we're probably still in that like building phase for pretty much for everything.
For everything, yes. The biggest mistake puppy owners make is fading away the lures and the rewards too soon.
I remember you said that once, and I kind of filed that away.
Yeah, I'm like, are we giving him too many treats? And he's like, no.
Yeah. I'll send you guys a really fun video of how they train canine puppies with lures. You're gonna be like, did they speed this video up? But it'll show you how being engaging with a lure and not even layering a command to it conditions them to do what you'll later name as commands. It's really, when you see it, you'll see what I mean. So try that with the leash, and then just be aware of his triggers. So like with puppies, sometimes it's just leaves blowing by that will set them to psycho mode. So if you notice the wind starting to kick up, bring out your treat ahead of time and ask him for engagement. Ask for a little sit, ask for his name, and don't allow him to become overstimulated. Beat him to the punch.
Okay. Yeah, the leaves are a big thing.
I know, right?
I'm like, thank God we didn't get this dog in the fall, because we couldn't go anywhere with him. There would be just leaf chasing action everywhere.
I had a fresh puppy one of the summers that the cicadas all come out of the ground. Oh dear. And she was a lab, and like, oh dear God, it was like the worst time raising a puppy.
It was like actually get all of these.
Yeah, literally the amount of bugs I had to pull out of that dog's mouth. Like I'm PTSD. Okay, awesome. So that covers the jumping, and then the sleeping in. Try and push it with the stuff we talked about. If the first couple mornings aren't successful, like he has an accident, leave him in there until 6:30 or 6 a.m., whatever your true goal is, and see if a couple mornings of leaving him in there will fix the problem.
Okay.
So don't let him have one accident and then think, oh, okay, we got to go back to letting him out at 4:30. He's basically training you guys.
Yeah. So if he's barking at 4:30, we'll just leave him.
Just leave him.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Don't say quiet. Don't just leave him.
Okay.
And see if he will not even necessarily go back to sleep, but if he'll just quiet himself.
Okay.
Because yes, I agree. 4:30.
He does know. Yeah, and he does know, like, if he yips like a little bit or even like a little cry at 4:30, like I do come running out, because I don't want to clean it up. Really, that's
and he will stop barking for a little bit. So
I know he has trained you guys very well. It's funny because I feel like most of training a puppy is undoing how they've trained us.
Yeah.
So yeah, just try and give him space to make mistakes, but also show you that he can have successes.
Okay.
And yeah, I think 6 a.m. is a very reasonable goal for a puppy in the summer when it's bright in the morning. And hopefully we can get him to like 7 a.m.
Yeah, I hope so.
I know. It's just, it's tough love. It's part of having a puppy. So
For
early
sure.
mornings. Okay, awesome. So you said that his sit is going pretty well.
Really well.
You're still using the lure, which is good. Have you started naming it? So saying sit and then luring him?
Not yet. So we just stuck to the treats. The first, I would say, like you had mentioned, he kind of came around pretty quickly. I would say I'll get a random jump here and there for the treat, but typically I'm just holding it right over top of him and his butt goes down.
Good. Awesome.
Typically, I just like go like this with my hand and
the butt goes down.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Doesn't have to go over.
Yeah.
Power body language in dogs, seriously. So now, before you bring that treat out, because now when he sees this, he's already sitting, say sit and then introduce this motion.
Okay.
So right now he's conditioned to he sits when he sees this. So now we want to introduce the conditioning of the word sit with this.
Okay.
So this is how it works is he right now isn't going to be thinking of, oh, sit means this. He's going to be like, oh, sit means this appears. And I know what that means.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And
that's
then
easy for us to incorporate. That's
so easy, right?
Yeah.
Great. And then once you have him starting to respond off the verbal cue, definitely you can still use the lure and then try and fade it away and see if he's just responding off the verbal cue. That's kind of like the trickiest part. Randomize the lure, still getting rewards every time, but then start introducing the implied stay work that we had talked about. We had talked about that, right? Like taking steps back and such.
With like leave it kind of evolving from there.
I
mean sit.
We didn't really talk about that.
Yes.
Okay.
And then break.
Yes.
Right?
So are you using break?
So we didn't introduce any words. So I was just doing the treat and then trying to get that down to where he would consistently do that, not jump, not, anything like that.
Totally. Yeah. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So that's great that you're doing it that way. So now that you're going to be introducing the cue sit, also make sure that you're using break.
Okay.
And so we didn't talk about implied stay at all last week.
No.
Okay, great. Perfect. We have 10 minutes left. So normally you hear people go sit, stay, but it doesn't really make sense because if the dog is sitting, it's not going anywhere, right? Like sit means sit.
Yep.
Right.
So in that sense, the stay is implied. You don't need to say sit, stay. You just say sit.
Totally. That makes sense.
So we just want to teach him sit means sit. So once you have him sitting off your verbal cue, even if it's just, and you're still using the lure, that's totally fine. Once he's in the sitting position now, rapid fire reward him for holding that sitting position.
Okay.
So you're going to go sit. Yes, break. And then treat go away and he's free to do whatever he wants.
Cool.
Okay, we can do that. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys can totally do that.
We're looking at each other like, yeah, we could.
I know.
Yeah.
I love the validation. Oh, we can do this. Yes, you can totally do it. So make sure that you're still using yes, because you're marking that he's holding the position.
Okay.
Yep. So, and just start with baby steps. Just do 2 treats, then 3, and do it fast, right? Like expectations are low. Yes. Break. And then when he's doing great with that, yes, spread it out. And then once he's doing well with like, yes, 1, 2, 3, yes, then stand up. Yes, take a step back, come back to him. And so we're building in duration.
Okay.
The biggest thing is he's going to make mistakes. He's going to pop up at some point. That's good. You want to give him opportunities to pop up so you have opportunities to teach him to stay seated. So biggest thing, he needs to have his leash on him on a neck collar. So when you're starting this, you're going to have his leash in one hand and your food in the other. So you don't just leave the leash on the ground because you want fast response time. So when he pops up, just say no, or you can say oops or whoops, whatever word you want to mark as him making a mistake. This isn't a punishment. No, this is, hey, I'm telling you, you did what I am not looking for. So you'll just say nope or oops and grab his leash. You'll have it and just do gentle upward pressure. And he should go back into a sit. If he doesn't, you can use the other hand and put some pressure on his bottom. And sometimes standing up and stepping into them, like this body pressure, will put them back in the sit.
Okay.
Play around, see what type of personality he is. But correcting his mistake, being consistent with that is going to be key.
Okay.
You're gonna start to see that as long as you're consistently negatively marking no, oops, whoops, whatever word you use, when he hears that, he's gonna offer something else because he's be like, oh, I know I messed up. That's not what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Which is gonna be really helpful for shaping in the future. But just take it slow. Like sometimes people come back and they're like, I was walking circles around my dog and he was sitting, and I'm like, was he though? Like reliably, how many times were you saying sit? So just no rush. And then just say sit once. So even if he pops up, don't go no sit. Just say no and put him back into it.
Okay. So the main command, the thing that you're looking for is said once, and then you're correcting. Okay.
Yes, because if you get in the habit of saying it multiple times, he's going to think the command is sit, sit, sit.
Yeah.
Yep. So sequence. Say it once and say it with meaning. And if he's not paying attention or engaged with you, don't say it because he's not going to really hear it. And then you're going to find yourself repeating it.
Okay.
So set him up for success. And in the beginning with this one, when you're introducing something stationary for him, just keep it short and fun. Like give him, a couple wins and then call it quits, especially for him, because he's probably going to get frustrated if he's popping up a lot and you're putting him back down. He's like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So if he's getting frustrated, just let it go and try again later.
Okay. So these might be even a little bit shorter than the 3 to 5 minute because I always want to end on the high note.
Yep. You want to keep them eager to learn. Yeah. And just expectations low. He's going to get a lot of free food for, in the beginning, just stuff his little face and make holding that position the best thing ever for him.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Cool. We can do that.
We can do it.
You can do it. So your homework for this week is going to be building in the implied stay and teaching the verbal cue sit. Toy around or not toy around, give the leash engagement work a try and see if that helps assuage some of the jumping.
Yep.
And then keep going with leave it if you guys, have time for that. The leash stuff will probably take priority, so that's okay.
Okay. That sounds good.
Awesome. And then I'll be anxious to hear how the mornings go, pushing him out.
So we're doing a lot of pee.
I'm hoping not. But if he's really struggling midweek, send me an email try and log like any details or like context around accidents he's having.
Okay.
If we can kind of like troubleshoot it if like it's just really, you know, gone poorly.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Awesome. Any
Hopefully
other?
not, but good.
Yeah, we got this. We got this.
We got it. We got it. We can do it.
Awesome. Any final questions, concerns?
I think
Nope.
we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
No? Okay, awesome. Well then I'll talk to you guys next week. I'll send you the gentle leader link right now in the fun puppy lure video.
Perfect. Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you, Maddie.
Enjoy your week.
See you
Bye.
later.